is. We'll tell you more about that as the game unfolds, but he's in a Box Hill Hawks jumper. We're underway. It's Kowalmon up against Ned Reeves of the Box Hill Hawks, and it's the captain Porter sending them inside 50. Early going on this Saturday morning, Easter Saturday. It's thumped out of the back line for the Cats towards the boundary line, and Tyler Brown, a former Collingwood man, now in the Box Hill Hawks stripes, is playing alongside his brother Callum, who had a pretty good initiation of 2024 last week, Peps. Callum Brown.
Certainly did. Picked up just a lazy 29. Averaged about 30 for the season last year with the brown and gold for the first time. And Tyler joins him after spending 2023 with the Adelaide Crows for a season. From the restart, Kowalmon first hands to it. Childcraft, that's Cade. Jai Childcraft no longer at the club. He's at Swan Districts now. Ed Phillips. Lovely kick in board, finds Hall.
I like that movement, Peps, from Ed Phillips to want to go back into the corridor. It was on show in round one last week and clearly on display early here.
Yeah, coming off a big win, the Hawks, as Hall's kick is cut off by Jekka, playing against his old side. Good body work on Deer.
He goes in short for Hardy. Get his first disposal of the morning. Back to Jekka, who ran past. Chiselling ball to the broadcast wing. It was fisted away from Marcus Herbert. And there's been a whistle coming back for Herbert. Of course, last time I was out here, Peps, they hadn't finished the Joel Selwood stand, and a little bit of shade adding to a bit of morning dew at that end of the ground in which the Box Hill Hawks are kicking in this opening quarter across the ground to the Reg Hickey stand side. And they're just trying to spread the Box Hill forward line at the moment, the Cats.
Shaky looking kick up the line. Nevitt will get a hold of it. Humphreys squeezes the handball out wide, and the Cats look to go forward for the first time. It's an up and under. Ham's got a sin underneath it. Great effort, Tyler Brown getting back. Childcraft feeds a handball back to Hardy. Standing start to the one-on-one, top of the square. And Phillips intercepts. That's what he does. Took 15 marks last week as he goes short to Sarong.
So the brother of Caleb Sarong acquitted himself well at Optus Stadium last night against the Adelaide Crows. In short to Finn McGuinness. The only man at the moment, Peps, who can shut down Nick Dacos on an AFL field is Finn. Just trying to get some minutes into his legs the early part of season 2024. Here is Hall. The handball to his captain in Porter. It's going to be turned over. And it's Humphreys of the Cats picking out Hardy at half forward. Let's send this one inside 50 to the top of the goal square. Well, there's been a 50. That might have gone through the protected zone. And it's actually Kalen Bradkey, my apologies, is going to be sent to the goal square and have the first real shot of the day. And this is going to be a good start for the Cats, who, I don't know if you've listened to State of Play the first couple of weeks, Peps. I'm very critical about Geelong playing at home because they don't have the dominance that their AFL team quite has. They don't own this place and make it a fortress like I feel like they should. Of course, their coach, Mark Corrigan, he did that with Casey at Casey Fields. He's got to do it here. And Kalen Bradkey puts the Cats on the board. The best possible start for them. 1 straight 6 after 3.5 minutes, and the Box Hill Hawks are yet to score. What do you think if Mark Corrigan trying to get this team to make this ground a fortress for them?
It's interesting, Joe, because you're right. I've done a couple of games here over the years, and I remember I did one last year where they got well beaten by Southport, a team that I think this was their first time ever actually playing at this ground. So it would be worrying considering it is such a unique ground, its dimensions. Everyone knows about that. But I'm sure Mark Corrigan will want to correct that as the season goes on. His second year with the Cats, and, well, after 4 minutes, they've got the opening goal through the former AFL-listed Richmond Tiger. As we're back in the middle, Kowalmon on VFL debut. He is a giant of a man, 205 centimetres. Won the hit out and followed up his work pretty well, but it's going to be the Cats eventually winning it back and going towards centre half forward. Phillips, another fist. And the Hawks can clear through Phillips. And they'll continue to work broadcast side because Sam Butler's found a little bit of space. Kicked 3 goals 2 last week. Sam Butler from 21 touches. Messy kick inside 50 from the Hawks, and Connor O'Sullivan, the prize first round pick, intercepts.
Sends it back to his defensive goal square. So the only part of the ground that's got a little bit of shade on it. That kick's going to be turned over just outside 50. And it's Tyler Brown, maybe just beyond his distance. So he'll try and just set this one up. One for the high flyers. In the end, the sea's almost parted for Butler. Little volleyball spike down to Stephanakis. Dr. Dre is what the club call him. I saw a little bit of Andreas in his senior debut at the Amos last year. And he acquitted himself well with Old Haileybury, and watch those little quads go pumping, Peps, if he gets a bit of space today.
Yep, so debut season with Old Haileybury, and the next episode is with Box Hill. Here's Phillips, screws it around the body. Not quite the journey. And the Hawks now on the board with the rush behind.
Early going of this contest, Connor O'Sullivan and Lawson Humphreys. 3 disposals each to start this one. Tyler Brown again, he's right in the thick of the action early on. The umpire's fallen down at half forward, Pep, and he hasn't really moved. He might have either been hit in the back of the head or a soft tissue injury. He's down for the count at the moment, so keep your eye on that one.
Yep, still on all fours.
There has been, the game has now stopped. I didn't quite see what happened. I just saw a man in fluoro hit the deck. He's been attended to by a couple of trainers.
Yeah, didn't quite see what happened either, unfortunately, but it looks like he wants to go on, that umpire.
He may continue here. We're just also getting some word, Peps, while this one restarts, that we will only have O'Sullivan for the Hawks playing just the second half. That's Jack O'Sullivan in the number 43. So a couple of the emergencies might be there early on in the game.
Yep, absolutely. Josh Tovey and Lane Ward initially named as emergencies, but we've seen them out there in the warm-up as the Cats go inside 50 once again. Closey had the ball knocked out. Phillips' handball was cut off, and the Cats will go deeper inside 50, but intercepted by one of those emergencies in Ward, and Ed Phillips patrolling the broadcast wing so far. Tucker couldn't quite haul it in. Had support, though. Chance for Bennett, NGA product of the Hawks. Back to Tucker. Brown, that's Callum. Stevens back from an Achilles injury and just quite not up to game speed yet.
Mentioning Achilles, and heartbreaking news for Parsons last week with Box Hill, tearing that Achilles, and our thoughts are with him as Phoenix Foster comes on the ground, gets the handball receive and kicks it, well, almost out of bounds. In fact, the boundary umpire right on the scene says it is out. Normally we see Phoenix with the long sleeves on, Peps. He's always got the socks up, and he'll always do some interesting things, and that little inside-out spiral might be the first of many on this Saturday morning.
Yep, enigmatic is the word I would use.
Yes. Thrown back in, just outside 50 for the Cats. Reeves tried to grab it out of the ruck, went through the fingertips. Might work out okay for Box Hill. It's in the waiting arms of Bennett, who will send it to the Reg Hickey stand side of the ground. Here's Finn McGuinness in a bit of space. It bounced up perfectly for him. He'll run away from Nevitt and get to Stephanakis just inside 50. Now the little quads can go to work. He'll thump it to the top of the square. In fact, he switches it across the ground. Wonderful, well-weighted ball in the end for Cooper Stevens. I could see the whites of the eyes of Andreas Stephanakis from here, because I know he loves a goal. But that, good team play.
Absolutely, it certainly was. And just the vision for an 18-year-old playing just his second game in this competition, to have the poise and the vision to spot up Stevens running towards goal. Fantastic.
So Cooper Stevens will look to kick Box Hills first. We've gone 9 minutes in this opening quarter on Easter Saturday. A casual approach from the number 21. He doesn't hit it all that well. It stays out to the right, and another behind for Box Hill. 1 straight 6 the Cats, 2 behinds are the Box Hill Hawks. This is round 2 of the Smithies VFL season on afl.com.au.
Of course, a former first-round pick of the Cats, Cooper Stevens, made his way to Hawthorn at the end of the 2022 season, was delisted and then re-rookied by the Hawks at the end of last season as the Cats clear. Chalcraft camped underneath it, couldn't bring it in. Here's Rule, pulled off his kick by Closey, the tackling machine. Averaged over 5 of them last year, did Closey. NGA product of the Cats. As we toss it up, Reeves Only down to Childcraft. Here is Closey again. This time working in some space. Bouncing ball towards Willis, who can't keep it in.
So just beneath us, this one's about to be thrown back in. Cal Porter, the captain, lurking around this contest. He is perhaps the club's designated matchday DJ. He's a great Cal, and there's a real art to it, he reckons, in terms of the way he sets out the playlist as Callum Brown goes to work, wrapping up Case Shellcraft, who's having a crack at standing up in the tackle, and because of doing so, he's turned it over. The advantage is going to be taken from Jai Sarong. He gives it to Butler in the heart of the centre square. He'll set it up for Tucker. The big ruckman goes to work, couldn't take the mark. Stefanakis was lurking, as was Bennett, who wheels around on the right. It's starting to work its way back into goal. That's a wonderful kick from Bennett's and the Box Hill Hawks. They're busy around the ball, and their small forwards, almost a mosquito fleet type, have put themselves on the board for the first time today. 1-2-8 to 1-6. Wonderful work from particularly Callum Brown to win back the footy on the wing.
Absolutely, and Josh Bennett's, we know he likes those situations around goal. NGA product, as I mentioned earlier, out of the Eastern Ranges, and also the Listerfield Footy Club as a junior, so very much in that Hawthorn and Box Hill catchment area, really. So great to see him in his second season on the AFL list. Capitalise on an opportunity there, and, well, if he keeps putting some good performances together, he may find himself in that lineup, although the Hawks have some pretty handy small forwards. Think about the Wizard, Nick Watson, Ginnivan, and Dylan Moore, one of the very best in the comp. So,
and don't discount Luke Bruce.
Yes, he's still around as well.
You may have heard of him, Peps.
You almost forget about him, don't you? But he is still around and still doing some good things, as is Callum Brown in the middle of the ground, streaming through the corridor. Hall contested well. Back to Brown. The step was terrific. The short pass, not so much. Made Hall really have to work for it, and it's out of play.
Now, if I'm Zane Littlejohn, I'm getting to the runner and saying, go to Callum Brown and tell him to be a little bit more selfish.
Yep.
Two opportunities he could have kept running and actually taken the shot himself. Back yourself in. I get you want to bring other teammates into the game, but that's an opportunity for him to go forward and kick a wonderful goal. Thrown back in the forward pocket. The Cats can clear to the broadcast wing. It'll pitch on its point and sits up nicely here for James Willis, who broke the tackle, can swing it on the right foot and send it in the Bradkey direction. It's paddled beautifully by Shellcraft. He doesn't want to pick it up. He wants to go along the ground. That was Wiltshire. It's going to be turned over. And the Box Hill Hawks from defence with Sarong can clear.
Although running himself into a bit of danger is McDonald. Got the handball away, but straight to Closey. Centering ball top of the square. Well, Jed Rule looked like he was having a shot at goal there, but it's hit the behind post. And it's going to be thrown in.
Interesting selection from Jed Rule to go along the ground across the face of your defensive goal.
Yes, I'm sure that one's not in the playbook, but we'll have it thrown in. Dangerous spot for the Cats. Callum Brown's got 4 disposals, as do Ed Phillips and Jai Sarong for the Hawks. The leading ball winner for the Cats is Jed Buse. Working through traffic is Hardy. In fact, that was the 23rd man, Murray, who just screwed it around a little bit too far.
And I saw he did a couple of nice things in his first game last week, Tobin Murray, as Phillips sweeps the handball to Seamus Mitchell. They work it down the line, although it's been intercepted by Daniel Caperon, who's leading this side in 2024. Had a crack at it last year in a couple of games, but taking the captaincy off Angus Byrne this year. There's a big pack of players as it's inside 50. Here is Tobin Murray. That's starting to work back. Can you believe it? Tobin Murray with a Smithy snag to open up his Easter weekend. Shades of Gary Ablett from that pocket, the way that started to work back. What a strike of the football.
Well, he clearly knows more about physics than you or I ever will, Joe, because he seemed to know exactly what he was doing, and he is dangerous around the sticks. You mentioned he did a couple of good things last week. Just the 3 disposals, but 2 of them were goals.
That's all you need.
And he's got 2 disposals for 2 scores so far today. 1 goal, 1. And that was a special finish.
I just like the way it started to work its way back naturally. There's no breeze to speak of out here at GMHBA Stadium on this Saturday morning. But when you just strike the football purely like that, it worked its way nicely, and he's bloody lucky he got the distance because it bounced back into play.
Certainly did. I tell you what, it was unusual in every sense of the word, but a fantastic goal for the Cats. Their second so far of the day on a perfect Saturday morning for footy on the Easter long weekend, and Qual Munn has acquitted himself well so far on debut out of the Anarchy Footy Club. Don't ask me where that is, Joe. I've got no clue. As Tyler Brown wins it back. Jed Rule keeps it alive. Porter happy to let it go. I might have to get on the Google machine at some stage and look that up. But he is a giant of a man. I mentioned earlier, 205 centimetres. And he's having to go up against a couple of AFL-listed rucks today in his debut. And, well, as I mentioned, he's off to a pretty good start. Closey with the up and under kick. Back with the flight was Hardy. 29 disposals for him last week. Mid-season recruit out of the Sandful. Dropped mark for the Cats. Jekka tried to paddle it to an opponent. Went in and won it himself. Shrugged the tackle. And now looking corridor for Closey, who's infringed by McDonald. And Closey has made an enterprising start to this one. He drives it long inside 50. At the back, Phillips couldn't haul it in. Cats with numbers on the ground. Murray was taken high. And he's going to have a shot for goal number 2.
We were just talking moments ago about the small forwards of the Box Hill Hawks and the Hawthorn Footy Club. The Cats have got a few in. Ollie Henry springs to mind straight away when you're talking about the Geelong team. But this young man, we mentioned last week, 2 goals in his first outing. He's the 23rd man. He's already kicked a beauty. But right there, he's at the feet of Phoenix Foster. He gets a handball received from him, and he's already obviously low to ground. So anything high, he's going to be rewarded. And to kick 2 early going in this contest would be great for his confidence, Peps.
Absolutely. Out of Colac originally, played for the Geelong Falcons last year. That is a footy factory, and it seems like they might have found another one here, the VFL Cats. He's got a couple, Tobin Murray.
Oh, I reckon Mick Turner's on the phone straight away to the Murray family and to Stephen Wells and say, look, I've got another one for you.
Yep.
I've got another one. Maybe let's put him back at AFL Barwon and hide him until the draft rolls around like they always do, the Cats.
They always seem to pluck one. Ollie Wiltshire is the one from last year. He was plucked out of Barwon, actually, in the Bellarine League, and he's now wearing number 21 for the Cats.
But how good's that, to have a small forward who is aware of the forward craft, to be in the right spots, to know when not to fly for the ball and keep your feet at the front of the contest. So that's exciting for Geelong, and they've kicked their 3 goals, 2 of them to Tobin Murray. The Box Hill Hawks are 1-2-8 as we near time on of the opening quarter this Saturday morning here down at GMHBA Stadium. Qual Munn got over the top of Ned Reeves again. As Pep said, he's holding his own in the ruck in this early going, although Reeves' handball put his captain into a world of trouble. It's going to work out okay as George Stevens sweeps it out wide. It'll bounce up nicely here for Darcy Edmonds. He uses his teammate for support. They'll work it back. Geez, they might have run themselves into trouble in the end here, the Cats. Right where the opposition team will run out from. The Box Hill Hawks. Well, I thought they might have been penalised for holding the ball there, but the boundary umpire has decided, no, he's going to throw this one in. So Reeves and Qual Munn will go at it. Half-forward flank for the Cats. And there's been a whistle. Advantage not really there. Mitch Hardy is going to be rewarded. I'm not sure about that advantage, Michael.
Yeah, we've given the players some license to go for the advantage, and they don't always know how to use it. As the Cats go inside 50, Willis exploding on the lead, couldn't haul it in. Caperon, the leader of this Geelong side, and it's off the boot and out of bounds off Shannon Neal. Callum Brown and Ethan Phillips, 5 disposals apiece. Mitch Hardy's got 5 for the Cats. Cade Childcraft and Ted Closey each have 4 as well for Geelong. As we approach time on in this opening term, the Cats coming off a big 53-point loss last week to Werribee at this venue. The Hawks got a big win at Casey Fields against the Demons. Ball in the middle of the ground. Heavy hit there from Stevens on Jekka. Both got up and keep going. And a dangerous tackle is going to be called. So the Cats, chance to go forward. This is Darcy Edmonds, who spent last year with the Giants.
In the centre circles of GMHBA Stadium, almost every player's in front of him. Foster's in this contest. Neil comes from the back. Ball hits the ground. It's Phillips giving it to Sarong. And they can clear to the outer side of the ground. I think it might have been touched off the boot. But it's been a free kick given because McGuinness, in fact, Butler was buried into the turf. It goes wide to Jed Rule, who will backtrack into his defensive 50. And the Box Hill Hawks will come to the broadcast side. Ethan Phillips, the intercept marking king, the round Fothergill medalist who earned himself a spot on the Hawthorn list late in February. And Porter on the halfback flank will cut in board. Dangerous kick. Edmonds closed. Hardy's got support. They can run this the length of the centre square. Back to Hardy on 50. Open goal square for Mitch. It's starting to fade and through for a minus score. Working with Ollie Wiltshire in the centre square there at the Box Hill Hawks. In fact, the Cats, my apologies, to turn that one over and have another shot at goal. We're into time on 3-2-20 to 1-2-8.
Looking very dangerous, the Cats, as Ryan pokes it short to Sarong. Missed 3 months last year with a heart issue. Great to see him back out there playing footy, and even managed to sneak in for a couple of AFL games towards the end of the season. That kick, though, is cut off by O'Sullivan. High ball forward. Ryan just mistimed his jump. Could be problematic because Willis can't quite finish.
They're taking and missing some chances at the moment. The momentum is right with the Cats. 3-3-21 now. And you imagine, Peps, that at some point the ascendancy will end the way of Box Hill. And Geelong have got to arrest that tide. But for the moment, it's being played at the Cats' end of the ground. Here is Ed Phillips in the fluoros. Keep it on this broadcast side. Caperon sits underneath it. Didn't take the mark. Thrown into the ground was Connor O'Sullivan. And it's still bobbed up the way of the Cats. Thumping kick from Hamish Lucas goes into the pocket for Neil. Was he being held? He was. And so Shannon Neal in the Tobin Murray pocket has the chance to kick his first goal of the afternoon. It's Jai Sarong, the man who was quite animated on the mark. Couldn't quite believe that he gave away the free kick. Frustration on his face. And Shannon Neal, who has been their number one full forward for a couple of years now, and is known to kick a bag of goals when he's on song. Direct approach. He doesn't quite work it back the way Tobin Murray did, and another behind. So 3 goals, 4 now on this Saturday morning as we're into the 23rd minute of this opening term.
Bodie Ryan, young South Australian in his first year on the AFL list, made it difficult for McGuinness, but he's there to lend a hand as he exits D50. Going up to meet it aggressively was Murdoch. Closey. Chance for George Stevens, playing his first game as a member of the Cats AFL list. Had a fumble, though, and a chance for Box Hill to make a rare foray forward. Humphreys first to it. He was a member of the West Coast NGA last year. The Cats pounced on him late in the draft. They've mucked this up, though, in the corridor. And a chance for the Hawks to go the other way. DeBolfo coming off an ACL last season to the one-on-one. Quolman and Butler, it's a size disadvantage. And out of bounds, probably a good result for the Hawks.
The one thing that is noticeable, Peps, when Box Hill have it on their terms, and we've only seen a couple of examples of it, they're quite prepared to go from one side of the ground to the other, take the game on. I like the attacking nature early on in this contest from Box Hill. And we'll see it as the game unfolds. Kowalmon just shoved Ned Greaves into the ground. The Bucks ruckman went over. Here's Nevitt, the next blonde bombshell, taking over the mantle from Ollie Dempsey, and he picks out his full forward, Shannon Neal, just in front of the interchange gates. And Neal will set it up to go inside 50. It's a wonderful, well-weighted kick. They've almost got it the length of the ground as Caelan Bradkey presented. He might be too far out to score. Geez, if he has a crack from here and it goes through, everything's coming up Geelong. He might just set this one up. Sinks the slipper into it. It's going right to the line. 2-on-1. Big fly from the back off hands. And through for a minus score. The one thing I would have on Zane Littlejohn's whiteboard at quarter time is the ease in which they're making it go from the back pocket to their own forward line, Geelong.
Yep, 14 inside 50s to 9 for the Cats. Reeves will mark unopposed here, and the corridor opens up for Butler. Has a couple of numbers running back towards goal. Just needs to think his way through it. Puts a kick a little bit too far out in front, though. And out of bounds. Probably the best result, as he wasn't going to nail the kick.
Now, I wonder if there's a better option in just popping it up and giving it some sky, letting your teammates run onto it.
A little bit more air needed under that one, because he had Porter running back towards goal. Just couldn't quite find him, but they do have it in a good spot here, the Hawks. Reeves wins it down. Brown couldn't quite get Boots a ball. And the Cats looking to clear. McDonald has infringed and will make it easy for Ham.
And Nevitt, just like he did moments ago, will take it out of the halfback flank, and another wonderful, well-weighted kick. This is James Willis, who's off to the races. Ethan Phillips got to close, and in the end did really well. Did a boy out of St Kevin's. Ethan Phillips, normally he's known for the intercept marking, but to not give up the chase and also not give Willis the inside lane and keep him boundary side. A little bit of dew on that Sharon too meant that the bounce didn't quite behave for James Willis. But it's on half forward, about to be thrown back in. Reeves, just a deft touch to the front of the contest. Ed Phillips, strong in the tackle. In fact, too strong, overzealous. And a free kick is going the way of the Cats here with Marcus Herbert. So on half forward, it's a stacked forward 50 as we near quarter time. They hold a 15-point advantage. He'll just set this one up for Brad Key, who will just pop it down. Stolen by Nevitt. Can he find some separation? There's a flying shot at goal. That came off the boot of Ted Cloesi, but across the face and out of bounds on the full.
Late stages opening term. The Cats have dominated most of the term, but have been a little bit wasteful in front of goal. They lead it by 15 points. As Sarong, disposal number 8 for him, finds the Bolfo. This looks good for the Hawks as Stephanakis can mark. He's got Butler in some space, goes in that direction, some air under the kick, and, well, it doesn't quite get to him. The Cats defend in numbers. O'Sullivan to Nevitt, back to O'Sullivan. Pick 11 in last year's draft. Rumoured to have had about 5 or 6 clubs after him in the draft, but the Cats ultimately won the raffle as Ryan gets high on Willis.
Interesting, because he got hold of the Sharon in terms of the fist connecting.
Yeah, maybe a little bit unlucky, but Willis is...
Or was it the other arm being wrapped around Willis?
Yeah,
maybe.
Might have been. It's Willis.
Because that's a textbook spoil. That would come up on bounce.
It looked pretty good, didn't it? The free kick will come to nothing as Phillips and Reeve spoil each other. Reeves, not the man you want to have it on the last line of defence, but he finds Sarong and the Hawks out of danger.
In the Gunston direction, we haven't really seen much of Jack in this opening term. First time he's back in Box Hill colours since 2012. He managed to fashion some form of a handball, but it's been turned over, and it's Humphreys going inside 50. His kick just too hot for his forwards. Here's Stephanakis. Watch the little quads go pumping. Through the centre square he goes. The kick's no good. He was too excited that the Sharon was in his hands. It's been turned over, and Emerson Jecker, his kick's going to be turned over. It's a comedy of errors on the halfback flank. The free kick going to Seamus Mitchell, who was clotheslined. And we can all take a deep breath as we near quarter time.
Yeah, just wants to slow it down. Goes laterally to Ryan. Now Phillips, who's had plenty of ball in this opening term. This will be his 7th touch. And they're going to look to switch once again, the Hawks, to Bolfo.
3 options out there.
Goes wider again, and now they cut back in towards the corridor. Mitchell fumble. Needs support. Gets it out wide in the form of Sarong. And here's Stephanakis again. Just unsure of where to go, but then realised he had a couple of men out wide. Picks out one of those in McGuinness. Now into attack. Gunston on the lead. That was almost classic Jack. Just couldn't quite haul it in.
I mentioned a couple of times, Peps, it's been 12 years. Round 9, 2012, the last time he pulled on the Box Hill Hawks jumpers, and he had a good day. He kicked 7. The Hawks fans would be impressed if he can do something like that today. He'll have 3 quarters to do it as we near the end of the opening stanza. Down the line goes that kick. That's a brilliant mark, going back with a flight by Seamus Mitchell. On the siren. Now, I saw yesterday a couple of players opting to go a barrel in the Good Friday Super Clash.
.com.au in the AFL Live official app. Quarter 2 about to get underway.
It's a 15-point lead to the Cats. We may have a secondary bounce, although the umpire opts not to do that. So Nevitt, he'll go to work and be wrapped up by Cooper Stevens. Managed to stand up in the tackle. The advantage has been paid, so there was a free kick in all of that. Got it to Hardy. And a nice, well-weighted ball for Ollie Wiltshire. So the Cats will go inside 50 and continue having the momentum from the first term. Neil went up in the contest, didn't take the mark. Somehow it's been plucked out by Willis. He was thrown into the ground by Callum Brown, who's moved into the back pocket. It's locked up just inside the field of play, and the umpire will cross the arms and ask for it in the shade in front of the Joel Selwood stand, that magnificent standing room section that I've heard so much about. It's great to see it on display.
Yep, fantastic to see it done after just ran a little bit over time.
But probably over budget.
Yeah, as per usual. But no, it is. But it is looking absolutely fantastic, and it's great to have that increased capacity here in Geelong. As we've got a bit of a scramble inside 50 for the Cats. A couple of goals for Tobin Murray, the 23rd man. As the Hawks clear defence, but Jack is going to be wrapped up immediately. So Emerson Jacker, of course, a former Hawk, was taken it in the rookie draft last year by the Cats. Pick 7 he was, and is playing as a key defender now after playing as a forward earlier on in his career. Wiltshire, one way then the other. Dishes it off to Closey. High ball, top of the square. Willis can't bring it in. Here's a chance for Nevitt. Squeezed as he kicks, and it floats through for a minor.
Very similar going to what we saw in the opening term, with the Cats having the early attacking, a couple more inside 50s to the tally, and Box Hill Hawks not struggling to get it out of their defence, but having a tough time of it at the moment. Sarong thumps it as long as he can. Tucker, the big man, flies, and it sticks into his mitts. Takes the mark on the half-back flank. He wants to keep it on the Red Chicky stand side of the ground.
That inside 50 count, 19-11 in favour of the Cats.
Again, a little chipping ball to Finn McGuinness. Almost in the same spot as where Tucker took the mark. So they haven't gained much meterage. And McGuinness now from half back to half forward. Kawal Mon, it slipped over the back. Gunston with a volleyball spike into the path of Bennett, who's already kicked a goal in this game and runs away from him. Sliding in to steal that ball. It ends up with Stefanakis. The quads go pumping as he shoots into goal, but it's to the near side and a minus score for Dr. Dre, the 23rd man for Hawthorn, for the Box Hill Hawks, rather. 15 points to the margin early going of this second term.
1 goal, 2 for Stefanakis last week.
He's 6, I reckon, against the Bombers in their last VFL game. So he knows where they are.
He certainly does, and he's not afraid to send it that way. Here's Qualman. Dexterity for a big man. High ball, chopped off by Ryan. Or out on the full, take your pick, but looks like Bodie might have taken the mark just before the line. In his first season on the list. Just kicks to a contest. Qualman in front.
Might have been a bit of holding as he did approach that ball, unfortunately.
Yep, so it's going to be Reeves, who left out of the AFL side for Easter Monday's game against Geelong at the G. Inside 50 go the Hawks. Can they lock it in? They've struggled to do that early on. Gunston through traffic was good. Brown needs to be quick. He is, and he can't quite find Stefanakis. Who'll keep it alive? No. We'll throw it in instead. He was looking to run around onto that left, I reckon, but we'll have to throw it in instead. Sarong, 11 disposals for the Hawks. Hardy with 10 for Geelong. As we toss it in. Ruck free kick going to Reeves. You never quite know which way those ones are going to go, Joe, but this one's ended up with the big ruck for Hawthorn.
I just wonder, being in the position that it was, 25 out from the Box Hill Hawks attacking goal, whether Qualman was more worried about losing the ruck contest and just trying to get some body on. And unfortunately, she just grabbed at the jumper of Big Ned. But it hasn't gone through yet, Peps.
He's played 40 AFL games, Ned Reeves. 25 years old. He's played 2 games in the AFL so far this season. This is his first in the VFL, and that's a beautiful finish. The Hawks get their second. And for all the Cats' dominance, they only lead it by 9 points.
Yeah, and this is what we were talking about in that first term. The momentum, the ascendancy on the side of the Cats and not taking their chances when they're presenting. And I noticed when Big Netta just slotted that one through. Nice little contingency of yellow and brown downstairs, gold and brown. I don't want to upset the Box Hill Hawks fans this early on a Saturday.
No.
But the nice travelling fans that have wandered down to GMHBA Stadium, and the big man kicks his first goal. And as I said, we've talked a little bit about Kwalman in the opening term. I feel like maybe just a little bit nervous around his defensive goal and being more worried about what Ned Reeves was going to do than actually just focusing on the ball, because, as you said in the first term, he's acquitted himself very well in the early part of this game. So we're back into the centre square. Of course, Toby Conway is the man who's been pulled out of this team, maybe in line for a spot on Monday for Geelong. There's been another whistle. This time it's going the way of the skipper, Callum Porter. Just being held by Mitch Hardy off the ball. Wait for players to run past, but then opts to sink it to half forward. Big flies from Bennett in the end, intercepted. The mark taken by Murdoch. Goes with a very short one to Connor O'Sullivan, who will send it to the outer side here of GMHBA Stadium. Hardy didn't take the mark. Pushed off, it was George Stevens. It's tunnel-balled out the back door, but the Cats come up with the numbers, although they're not overly clean, which allows Callum Porter and the Box Hill Hawks to go to work, locked up by Cade Shellcraft. He was strong in that tackle, and a secondary stoppage on the Toyota logo, the far side of the ground here. We've gone 7 minutes in this second term.
Cats lead it by 9. They led it by 15 at quarter time. High ball to the one-on-one. Bennett's outsized on that occasion against Murdoch. McGuinness will end up with it. Had a fumble, though. Hardy got him, but able to get the handball away. Under pressure, everything the Hawks do at the moment. Reeves had to go down a long way to pick it up. Still has it. Dishes it off to Mitchell. And he'll just get it out of the area. Oh. Is that a mark? Not paid. Doesn't matter because the Hawks are going to go forward. Rule, the kick not to his advantage. I think he might have lost it in the sun as well. Didn't dispose of it. Umpire's letting it go on. Just sock it towards goal by Butler. And that was a classy finish. He knew exactly what he was doing.
It was a Saturday stroll for Sam Butler, the way he just toe-poked that towards the goal base. Very casual. But there was some stuff that you mentioned in that call, Peps, around the pressure that's being placed on the Box Hill Hawks around the ball. It's a touch fumbly, it's a touch scrappy, but they're only 3 points behind. Geelong feel like they're all over them, but it's not showing on the scoreboard.
Yep, and they've got the first 2 goals of this second term as well. 8 minutes in. So Mark Corrigan will probably be tearing his hair out right now because his side's so dominant in that opening term. Couldn't quite put it on the scoreboard.
And kicking to the scoring end here of GMHBA Stadium are the Box Hill Hawks. We've had 5 goals to the right of screen and just the 1 to the left of screen. Reeves will go up in the ruck. Did win it down. Bounced off almost the knee of Tyler Brown. Did really well to 360 his way out of that trouble. Managed to get boot to ball. Try and find his brother. How often do we see that in Australian rules footy? The brothers combining. Callum Brown now doing the tough stuff and going to work, but it's been won by Murray and the Cats inside the centre square. The mark's been taken by Ollie Wiltshire. He'll thump it inside 50. He'll go in the Phoenix Foster direction, who springs at his feet, had to jump from the back. Mitchell shoveled it out to Brown. Broadcast side of the ground, he'll go with the kick. It's a one-on-one. It stays in with Humphreys, who's trying to break the tackle. They did some fancy stuff there. Geelong again. Humphreys tries to break the tackle. They have a third attempt at getting rid of the ball. It just keeps coming back to him. Showing a clean pair of heels there is Bailey McDonald. His handball's going to be turned over. Trying to get through here. This time is Hamish Lewis. He's turned it over, and McDonald will have a second crack at getting through on the wing. He gets it to Bennett, but there's been a whistle, so it might have to come back.
Well, it looked exciting for a minute there for the Hawks, but it is coming all the way back. to Lucas for a Geelong free. Looked like it was going to be a Box Hill ball, but anyway, we go on. Here's Herbert. Knew he could take on the man on the mark and did it easily in the end. Wobbles a kick inside 50. Could be chaos. Foster couldn't quite direct the ball the way he wanted to. DeBolfo, always a calming influence in defence. And Ryan releases Sarong now with the kick. Doesn't have anywhere to go, really, so he waits for something to present. Hall able to gather. Gunston. Hall was over the line. So it's messy. It's under pressure. But the Hawks have kicked the only 2 goals of the term.
We got the close one on a Saturday morning. We're almost about to tick into Saturday afternoon. 3-6-24 to 3-3-21. The only 2 goals of this term have gone the way of the Box Hill Hawks. Shannon Neal's moved into the ruckwork to go against Neal. He is Neal. He's going against Reeves. There's been a whistle, and Tyler Brown is going to receive the free kick. Out of sight of the ground. Just stops and props as he tries to get to Reeves on half forward. Is there a high tackle there? There was. And so the Cats on the halfback flank with Emerson Jecker will send it back to the red Hickey stand side of the ground. Lucas just reels it in before the boundary line. To come back inboard to his skipper and Caperon. So a slow build-up after a frenetic couple of minutes right across the ground. Go the Cats to this side of it. And to half forward for Nevitt, who plucks it out of the sky. Can he pick a target inside 50? There's a few of them. He'll set it up in the Foster direction. Oh, that's a brilliant mark at the back. Taken by Shannon Neal. The ruckman working Ned Reeves over.
Yep, and that's where Neal can get the advantage playing as the ruckman, because he's certainly got a lot more forward craft than Reeves does defensive craft. And he just moves a little bit better as well. So we saw it on that occasion. That's something perhaps the Cats can exploit.
So had a shot in the first term, kicked it behind. Ned Reeves comes from the ground and Clay Tucker comes on. We've gone nearly 13 minutes in this second term. And Shannon Neal, a direct approach at goal. We're right behind the kick. The umpire only moves one step to his right, and it's through for another goal. That's cuts a run of 2 in a row for Box Hill, and Shannon Neal has his first. And Geelong put that margin back out to 9 points. 4-6-30 to 3-3-21.
For whatever reason, we haven't seen many goals kicked to that end of the ground. The Joel Selwood stand end of the ground, left of screen if you're watching us on afl.com.au and the AFL Live official app. No real reason for that. As Joe mentioned earlier, it's a perfect day for footy. No real wind to speak of. And the Cats just able to wrestle back a little bit of momentum with that goal, because it's been mostly Box Hill for the first 13 minutes of this term. Neal has gone back into the centre to take this ruck contest against Clay Tucker, who was picked 3 in last year's mid-season draft. Stevens just hammers it forward to the one-on-ones. Stephanakis tries to keep it alive, paddles it to himself, tried to draw the high tackle, but Caperon did well not to infringe.
It was a really good tackle, wasn't it? Because, someone as small as Andreas Stephanakis could be prone to getting a high one. So well done by the captain of the Cats.
They know how to draw them too, those small forwards. Clearance for the Cats. Butler, in fact Mitchell I should say, read it really well in flight. And able to intercept as he drives it inside 50 again. Outnumbered Gunston. Almost took the mark though. Brown gets the hands free, but it's all Cats. Hardy, who's had plenty of it. That's disposal number 11, and he'll get another one for his troubles as well. Can't quite find the target by foot. Hawks still a chance. Ryan. Porter just pokes it in the direction of Tyler Brown. Tucker mopping up on the ground. Dishes it off. Inside 50 they go again off the boot of Wood. Bennett burns off a couple with pace. Tries to poke it on the right towards Gunston. And it's thumped through by Edmonds.
Interesting to use the inside out from the right foot from Bennett. Maybe a left foot.
Yep, was on target, but it just hung in the air a little bit.
And so the Cats will bring the footy back in. They might opt to keep it on the outer side of GMHBA Stadium. And we just saw the most recent build-up was a slow, methodical one, so interesting to see what they do from this one as Connor O'Sullivan sends it to half forward. Foster couldn't take the mark. He thought he may have had it long enough and had a case in front of the umpire. It's ended up with Hardy, although he almost had the pocket pick. Willis lent some support. Somehow it fell back into the chest of Hardy, and he was wrapped up by Ethan Phillips. So it's going to be Tucker, and Kual Mun has just made his way back on the ground, who shoved Tucker aside and gets the clearance to send Geelong to centre half forward. Sitting underneath the high ball was the Cats. Edmonds goes up and down the chimney with the kick. This might be called play on if someone does pluck it out of the sky. Ethan Phillips had a crack at it. Wiltshire on hands and knees locks up the ball about 45 out from goal. We've gone 16 minutes in this second term. 4-6-30 the Cats. 3-4-22 Box Hill.
The Hawks have kicked 2-1 in the term. Kual Mun directs it down. Herbert into the pocket. Foster has the height advantage. Sarong did well, though. Ryan under pressure. McGuinness just hammers it on the boot and gets lucky to find Wood. Oh, in fact, that's Tyler Brown. Pops it wide for DeBolfo. Doesn't have a lot going on further afield. And he was bumped off his kick legally. Out on the full, and the Cats win it back. Capper on. Looking corridor for Humphreys, and they can generate some run. Humphreys. Wide ball. Doesn't quite work. Willis, though, will keep it alive. Only momentarily.
It's noticeable, isn't it, Peps, the last few minutes? The Cats are trying to slow it up and just hold on to the ball and also use their foot skills to full effect. Take a few marks. Just try and take away the game from Box Hill. At the moment, they've got an 8-point lead. Thrown back in. Kual Mun won it down. Strong tackle coming from Ted Cloesi. And the umpire will ask for it again. About 45 out from Geelong's goal. Kicking to the Joel Selwood stand in this second term. There's a few players stacked around this ball. He came out to Cloesi, off to Hardy. He swings it out to Murray. We know what he's like around goal. Oh, he's putting on a show on this Easter Saturday, Tobin Murray. He might have the full book of Smithy snags this week. That's 2. In fact, 3, but 2 of them absolute highlights. Brilliant stuff from the 23rd man.
Jeez, I know we've harped on about him a little bit, Joe, but it really looks like they've found one here, the Cats, for their VFL program. And if he keeps stringing together some form like this, mid-season draft could be a possibility. Or if not, later on in the year. He's still only 18, spent last year with the Falcons. Obviously didn't get drafted, but that might be a miss by AFL recruiters.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if Tobin Murray's not playing in this team next week.
Yep.
And it's not because of form. It's because the Cats want to hide him.
Yep.
So he'll be going back to his local club. Sorry, Tobin. Sorry, Tobin. You'll be playing local football next week because Mickey Turner and the Cats and Stephen Wells, they want to hide you away. But how good. The smarts around goal. He only needed 2 steps on that occasion, and it was just beautiful, well-weighted, bent back perfectly and gives them back a 14-point lead.
He just knows where they are. And the Cats have had plenty of success plucking small forwards from obscure places. Tyson Stengel was almost out of the AFL before putting together an All-Australian season at the Cats. Think of Brad Close as well. He came from relative obscurity as McGuinness cuts off that kick. Dangerous one inboard, but it gets to Cal Brown. Now the full switch is on for Rule.
I think they just pluck players out of obscurity. Steeplechaser.
Yep, steeplechaser.
From Ireland.
You could go on and on, really. 3 Irish players in their best 23. There's Stefanakis, the corresponding 23rd man for Box Hill. He's had some good moments as well, just hasn't quite been able to find the goals just yet. High up the line, Reeves won't get to the contest, and Herbert will. So the Cats wrestling back some momentum after Box Hill started the term well. They kicked the first 2 goals. The Cats have kicked the last 2. Out wide for O'Sullivan. Hardy. Disposal number 16, the most on the ground. And Closey will go backwards for Van der Heuvel. Has time to gather. The former Footscray man. And here's Herbert.
Took it on the slide right at the interchange gates. Did Herbert. He'll set it up for Kowalmon off the side of the boot, though. It's a 2-on-1 in the end, but doing really well was Wiltshire to get it down to Nevitt, showing a clean pair of heels in sweeping the handball forward through the legs. As it hits the deck, Nevitt goes to work again to try and clean up the mess, but it's locked up, and the umpire will ask for the ball. Every player comes forward of centre, and a stack of them find their way around this stoppage as Reeves wins it down. And the clearing kick goes in the direction of Kowalmun. At the front of that contest is the Cats. There's been a whistle. It's a strong tackle in the end to win back the football. And it's Kalshadir who goes across the ground. It's a dangerous kick. It's fisted away back towards the goal line, and it's ended up being rushed through. Nice from Edmonds to be right awake and on the scene to get that one over the line. Another behind for the Cats. We're back to where we started 21 minutes ago. 15 points the difference.
Sarong brings it back into play. Overshoots Reeves, though. And Caperon has been doing that for years in defence. Sends it Foster's way. In fact, that's Hardy, who's taken a strong one-on-one mark.
He's having a damn good first half, isn't he, Mitch Hardy?
He's been everywhere. An AFL debut, perhaps not too far away. Humphreys had the fumble. Pressure came from the Hawks. They need to lock this in, and they do that.
There's a genuine chance of that happening, given at the moment Patrick Dangerfield out for a couple of weeks, Cam Guthrie out for an extended period. I love what Close and Holmes and Atkins are doing, but this bloke that we're seeing today is having a very, damn good first half and mounting a serious case.
Yeah, mature age recruit as well. So the Cats knew he may very well be ready-made in case of a situation like that with injuries to midfielders, as Box Hill aiming to work it forward. Here's Ed Phillips. Haven't seen much of him in this second term. Drives it long. Deer one-on-one was held. And that's what quick ball movement inside 50 can do. The defenders just panic a little bit. And the father-son recruit for the Hawks will go back and shoot.
A good player, this young man, too. I got to see a bit of him play for St Bede's in the ACC last year and put on a bit of a show, did Kalshadir. Of course, this weekend means a lot to the Deer family with the game on Monday, the Easter Monday clash, the Dare to Hope game. Of course, all in memory of his late father, Paul, the 1991 Norm Smith medalist. So we encourage people to head to the Dare to Hope website to donate some money. We're on board here, Peps, with Kalshadir.
Certainly are. And he's got his first goal as a Hawk. Didn't manage one last week, but he's got one today. Picked 56 in last year's draft out of Bowie and the Sandy Dragons, which has become a footy factory in its own right in recent years.
It certainly has. And good on the young man to get out there and to be playing in the Hawthorn jumper. I love that still about the footy romance. The father-son aspect of it all, of course, in the AFLW now. We've got the father-daughter rule. It's terrific to see the lineage coming through, and great for Kalsha to get a goal today. And maybe, Peps, maybe that can give Box Hill just a little bit of momentum and something to grab onto at half-time, because even though they're only 9 points behind, it feels like they're a long way back at the moment.
It certainly does.
So back into the centre square. Reeves will win it down. Nevitt will shark the Sharon and send the Cats inside 50. They come from all points of the compass. It's pushed aside. On that occasion was Bradkey. They're trying to bust their way through here, the Box Hill Hawks backline. A string of handballs, and it might work out here for Stefanakis. He wants to give to Callum Brown, who just sends it into the forward pocket. It's a 2-on-1. They've got the numbers as it hits the deck. Deer's lurking. Can he kick a second? He'll keep it in. They'll try and swing around. Gets back to Callum Brown. Another one off. Is that a shot at goal? It is. Geez, they've made an absolute meal of it in the end, and it's just through for a minus score. It might have been off the boot of Sam Butler, who had a crack at it. He did kick a soccer goal earlier on. They're making things look very hard, the Box Hill Hawks, at the moment, Peps.
They certainly are, as Geelong look to clear defensive 50. Phillips trying to put a stop to that. Stevens able to squeeze a kick out wide, and Murray, here he is.
Oh,
might be the first touch of the day that hasn't scored, and it is an exquisite kick to Neil. He's got the one-on-one forward of the ball. Bradkey and Sarong. The latter did really well, but the handball might be turned over. Chance still for the Cats. Closey swings around and buries it. The Cats go end to end.
Not for the first time today either have they managed to take it the length of the ground and it finish in a goal. Brilliant finish too from Ted Cloesi. I was watching our boy Tobin Murray after he kicked that ball. He just charged directly to the feet of Phoenix Foster, and if Ted Cloesi didn't choose to shoot for goal, he had him in the goal square standing on his own. Great forward craft from that young man. He's putting on a show, and as are the Cats. They move out to a 14-point lead. Yeah, that's right, 6-7-43 to 4-5-29. Back to where we were at quarter time.
He's already got those small forward behaviours down pat, doesn't he, Tobin Murray? He looks like he could almost play an AFL game in the next couple of weeks.
Wow. Big call.
He looks good.
Okay.
He looks very good.
I might hold you to that.
Mature for his age.
Yes. Aren't they all? When they look that good?
Some more than others.
Okay. That's the voice of Michael Peppercelli on this Saturday afternoon footy, Easter Saturday. Here's Hardy. Another one we've been talking about could be playing AFL footy. Lucas was wrapped up in the tackle, and the umpire will ask for it again. So about to be thrown up. Reeves won it down. Here's Jed Rule getting it to Bennett on the paint of 50. Wants to go into the pocket with the kick. The little chiseler. Cal Shadir was pushed off it. And it's the Cats off the boot of Lawson Humphreys getting it over the line. We are nearing half-time. I guess if you are a Box Hill fan, it was very similar last week. The Cats had a very strong opening half against Werribee and then just fell away in the second half, so some tiring legs. But right now, they certainly look on song as perhaps we'll have this one thrown in again.
Yep, to your point, Joe, the Tigers overran the Cats in the final turn, kicked 7-2 in that last quarter to win by 53 points. The Hawks never really challenged in a 41-point win over Casey, as Reeves wins the free kick in the ruck. Doesn't have too many leads coming to him, so he just sets it up. Gunston will fly. Hands to it. O'Sullivan applying the pressure for the Cats. If you just joined us, it was a 15-point quarter-time lead for the Cats. The Hawks kicked the first two of this second term, but then Geelong kicked 3 in a row themselves before the Hawks kicked the last one. Towards the boundary line goes Hardy, and he's going to be called for insufficient intent.
I thought that was out
despite
before
his best efforts.
I thought that was out before he actually touched the ball.
So Jed Rule has it in a very difficult pocket from which to kick goals.
It was the Gary Ablett pocket. It's now the Tobin Murray pocket.
Did kick one last week, and it's the right side for the left footer. It's across the face, and Gunston not quite, and it's rushed through.
So 13 points to the margin, nearing half-time. Humphreys is going to bring the Sharon back in. He'll come to the broadcast side with that kick. It'll be Sarong in a one-on-one. There's been a whistle against Sarong. And it's going to be Shannon Neal to take the free kick. He's a long way from his goal square. He'll backtrack, retreat, and concede ground as they try to work this on the outer side of the ground from Murdoch. He gives it off to Emerson Jecker. Kual Mun presents and takes it on the chest. So is there a chance for the Cats to get one more before half-time? Cloesi Lawson Humphries in short. He chooses to go inside the 50. Foster and Hardy went up in the contest together. James Willis is lurking. He could be a bit of a danger man around goal, but he ran out of real estate. And it goes over the line. They've managed again, though, Peps, to get it the length of the ground without Box Hill Hawks really having an impact on them. Yeah,
that's something they've done really well today so far, the transition from defensive 50 to attacking 50. As it's tossed back in. Reeves with the front position. Closey was good, but couldn't break free. Mitch Hardy up to 18 disposals. Sarong has 15 to lead the Hawks. As Box Hill clears. Whistle. Geelong free kick.
A few whistles there.
Yep. Couple of umpires spotted something. It's a Herbert ball. Just forward of the centre. He's going to launch it long as the siren sounds. And at the half, it is a 13-point game in favour of Geelong, 6-7-43. Box Hill 4-6-30 for the Cats with 3 goals. And here's Joe Pignataro to get us started in the third term.
Good on you, Peps. 13 points the margin in favour of the Geelong Cats as we start the third term. Went through the legs of Kuol Munn, who was able to bend down, pick it up, and somehow shovel it towards Herbert. Tyler Brown's in there, along with Cal Porter. Kuol Munn has a third attempt at locking up Tyler. And it's in the centre circle. We'll have it thrown up again. Up against Ned Reeves. Tyler Brown manages to steal it for Box Hill and send the Hawks inside 50. Van der Hoover went up in the air, brought it to ground. They'll keep forcing it forward here, the Hawks. Murdoch for the Cats finds the safety of the boundary line. Just gets it over. No, I thought there was no whistle, but everyone had stopped and waited for it. So here's Bennett. He's still going. They're going to have a crack at this, the Box Hill Hawks. The Cats' defence is standing up to it. Boundary umpire might have been a mile away from it. I can just see him starting to come into the back of the picture now, Peps, but not up with the speed of the game so far in this third term.
It's early season for everyone, Joe, as Reeves takes it out of the ruck but misses. Almost a loud start to the third term for the Hawks. This, of course, the first game of a big doubleheader here at GMHBA Stadium. Smithies VFL and Rebel VFLW. It'll be Geelong taking on Box Hill after this one. That one starts at 2:05, and Joe and I will be on the call for that one as well. So very much looking forward to that one.
That was scary good too last week, the Box Hill Hawks.
They've named about 11 AFLW listed players, so they are not taking the season lightly at all as the Cats look to go through the corridor. Van der Hoovel. The Cats forced to go slow. That's a well-weighted ball as Humphries marks. And he's got a run up. The Cats go inside 50, and the pass was terrific for Neil on the lead.
That was super work from Humphries and Capron on the outer side of the ground. As soon as Jack Gunston went up to spoil the ball, Capron just took off and gave himself 5-10 metres on his opponent, and then Shannon Neal. I mean, that's sort of the stuff you do at training. Your eyes just light up when you see someone charging at you with a ball and no one's in front of you in those leading lanes. And he can run out and take a great mark. And he's already kicked a goal in that first half, Pep, so a chance to kick his second here.
Yep, kicked one last week. 33rd pick of the 2020 AFL draft. The kick is perfect. The goal umpire just watched it sail over his head. No need to move.
There's a lot to like about Geelong today, the way they've started the game, and early going of the third term must be said, but we did forecast that they started well against Werribee last week and fell away as the game went on. I reckon that would have been something that Mark Corrigan said to them at half-time. Your job's only half done to this point. We cannot afford to even take our foot off the pedal at any point in this second half, and that's the best possible start. The Box Hill Hawks had the first inside 50 and another goal from the length of the ground. The way they moved the ball today has been really good to see for the fans of the Cats. As we end up going back into the centre square. 7-7-49 to 4-7-31. It's 18 points the margin. It's sort of been around this deficit for most of the game. The Box Hill Hawks managed to cut it down to 3 points midway through the second term. But the Cats were able to eke the margin back out to 3 goals. And here's Kuolmon getting over the top. He might even rove his own ball. It just bounced away from him. He had a crack at it out of the air. Nearly took the head of Callum Porter off, but in the end, he was clotheslined by Mitch Hardy. And Porter will get the free kick. At centre-half back. Stops and props. Keeps it short. Only just. Ben DeBolfo takes the mark. Great to see him back last week and then follow up today. Seamus Mitchell, another short ball. The mark's been taken by Max Hall. Gives it to Mitchell, who runs past. Sweeps it wide for Gunston. Will send it inside 50 in the Reeves direction. The big man goes to work. Brought it to ground. It's going to be locked up. Around about 40 out from goal. And the umpire will ask for it again.
So the Hawks have it where they want it. Can they kick a rare goal to this end of the ground for them? Bennett's running onto this. Met solidly, though, by Herbert. And the Cats clear the danger. This is Nevitt. Up the line for Qualman. He's going to take them on. Long and high to the one-on-one. Phillips in good position.
Oh.
Can't haul in the mark, though. This is danger. Neil swings around, and he's got 2 in the third.
And again, Peps, it's the length of the ground. It's getting it out of their defensive 50, and they get a goal from it. Unfortunate for Ethan Phillips. It slipped straight out of his hands, and he's taken that mark so many times. And Shannon Neal was right on the scene, awake to it. He's now got 3, Shannon Neal.
Yeah, and all of a sudden a decent game becomes a pretty good game. He's got 2 in 5.5 minutes to start quarter number 3, and you feel for Phillips. It's a mark he'd normally take, but Neil made him pay.
It almost, in some small way, sums up the way they've gone. They've had these half chances, the Box Hill Hawks, and haven't been able to grasp them to this point of the game. Anyway, Shannon Neal was rewarded at the back end of last year with 3 games in rounds 22, 23 and 24 with the AFL side, and I dare say keeps going this way. I know it's a very tough spot to break into with Hawkins and Jeremy Cameron, but he might be the next man in waiting. Here's Bennett's the speedster on the broadcast wing, again with the inside outer on the right foot. That's a nice mark that's going to be paid, it is. And so Finn McGuinness takes it a kick and a half out from goal. He'll set this one up to the top of the square. The big men are down there. It's a 3-on-1. To the front of the contest is Butler. He kept it in on the slide. Stefanakis paddled it over the line next to Mitch Nevitt. And we'll have this one thrown in the shade. The Joel Selwood stand looking magnificent on this Easter Saturday weekend.
That's where the Hawks are kicking. They find themselves down by 24 points. Early stages in this second half. McGuinness going nowhere fast.
It's a stacked forward 50 arc, isn't it? Peps, and I dare say, as soon as Geelong, if they had to get it, they'll just spread the width of the ground.
Every player in Box Hill's attacking half of the ground. All 36 of them. As the Cats try to clear. Qualman's got the height, and he's got the mark over Ryan. He plays on once again. This one partially smothered. Foster with strength, but left the ball behind. Brown, they want to work it by hand through the corridor. Bennett's a sitting duck for Buse. Didn't have prior opportunity, though.
So about to be thrown up in the centre square. They managed to stop that rappel forward, the Box Hill Hawks, but a kick off the ground from Kual Munn might work out okay. Phoenix Foster. Bennett's picked the pocket. Been busy in this third term already. Finn McGuinness to the outer side of the ground. Gunston's got space. He's got another man on if he can get it there. Along the ground, it bounced perfectly here for Jack O'Sullivan, only playing the second half. He goes inside 50. Fingertips to it from Emerson Jecker. Meant the Cats can get it back on the rebound. And it's Ted Cloesi outer side of the ground to Neil. Hardy runs past. He doesn't want to give it to Shannon. He'll send it inside 50. Ryan went up in the air. Ball hits the ground. Standing up is Phillips. Threw it away. Was there a high tackle? In fact, Ethan Phillips threw it away incorrectly. So it's going to be a free kick to the Cats and Ollie Wiltshire.
Yeah, the pressure from Geelong, we've mentioned it a few times today, has just been outstanding. Wiltshire, we mentioned earlier, one of those players the Cats have plucked from relative obscurity out in Barwon Heads, and he gets a chance to kick his first in the hoops.
He'll have to kick from almost the paint of 50. The 13-point margin at half-time has been extended to 24. Here's Wiltshire. Puts it on its way. It's just going to get there. Now, we can't really go upstairs to the arc here, Pep, so the umpire's going to have to make a definitive decision, and he's gone with a fingertip on it from Bodie Ryan. So just a minor score. 25 points the margin. We've gone nearly 10 minutes in this third term.
And they want to move it quickly, the Hawks. Here's McDonald, known for his speed off half-back. Long up the line to a contest. Jacker did well. The former Hawk, but Box Hill have been able to work it to half forward at least. They find themselves down by 25 points. They trailed by 15 at the first break and 13 at the half. The Cats have kicked the first two of this third term. Plenty of bodies around this ball. And the Hawks are going to get a free for a push in the back. That's Porter. Thought about dishing off the handball, but instead he's going to be a bit more measured in his approach. Puts it to a spot, and Gunston shows off the strong hands.
A nice kick from Callum Porter and a nice lead from Jack Gunston. And you'd expect him to go back and do what he's done for so many years from this spot on the ground.
Don't do it, Joe. He's put the moz on him.
No, I just said you'd expect him to. I didn't say it was a beautiful kick. I didn't say he was a lovely strike of the ball. I didn't tell you he's done this many times.
Directly in front. He puts it through. Just. Jack Gunston kicks his first goal for the Box Hill Hawks in 12 years.
I told you he'd do that. Exactly what I said.
You did?
That's just his fourth goal at Cardinia Park.
You tempted fate.
Yeah, I did. He's played, this is his third game here. That's just his fourth goal at this ground.
Fourth goal. I guess the Hawks and the Cats usually play at the G, don't they?
Yep.
They don't make the journey down here too often. Hawthorn?
No, he may...
Might have kicked one or two of those for Adelaide even.
Quite possibly. I might have to get back to you on that one.
Yeah, delving deep into the stats now.
Very much so. But an all-important goal regardless for the Box Hill Hawks. The margin goes back to 19 points. As we go back into the centre square, it's Shannon Neal going up against Clay Tucker. We might have a secondary bounce here. In fact, we definitely will. As that one skewed well away from the centre circles. So thrown in the air. Tucker went up unopposed. Easy pickings for Tyler Brown to do the roving. And the Box Hill Hawks will go almost inside 50. The ball bounces on its point. Jack O'Sullivan was very clean in backtracking and going inside 50 to Stefanakis. Oh, the little man just bobbed up. He knew where to be. Out of St. Bede's and Old Haileybury. And here he is in the number 65. Well, two in a row in quick succession. His celebration alone, Peps, might fire them up. If he is to kick truly here. He's added just the one minor score so far today. We're right behind the kick of Andreas Stefanakis. No good at all. Shanks it into the pocket. There's been a whistle too. And I think it might be a free kick going the way of the Box Hill Hawks. It is. I just saw some animation from Shannon Neal and Cal Shadir. Well, maybe he's got the chance to give him 2 goals in quick succession. Modern-day footballers these days will run around from this spot and kick on the left foot. That's what he does, and he hits the stick. But signs, if you're a fan of the Box Hill Hawks, are starting to look a little bit more promising in the fact that Peps, they've had it down their end for the best part of 60 to 70% of this quarter.
Absolutely. Just didn't look entirely comfortable on the left there, dear, but they'll get another go at it because Rule has intercepted. Quick ball movement has been has produced the best results for the Hawks, but watch out, Stevens. O'Sullivan got him, the man fresh on the ground. And we've already seen a little bit of what he can do. And he'll go back and kick for goal in his first game action of season 2024.
He's added a bit of zip, hasn't he, to this forward line structure of the Box Hill Hawks. That wasn't too dissimilar to Jamie Elliott running down Dane Zorko on Thursday night either, was it?
Yes, that's right.
Good stuff from young man Jack O'Sullivan.
He's returned from a foot injury. He's playing only the second half today. Pick 46 in the 2022 AFL draft out of the Oakley Chargers and Xavier College. From directly in front, he squeezes it home. The Hawks have 2 in a row.
And again, we're only back to 12 points. There was an opportunity to extend that margin to 5 goals. Ollie Wiltshire, that fingertip right on the line, could end up proving more than just important for the Box Hill Hawks, because we're inside a couple of goals a game. Only halfway through this third term.
Yeah, they've had it mostly their own way so far, the Cats, but as you mentioned earlier, Joe, they just haven't really been able to extend beyond that 2 or 3 goal margin. They did get it out to 24, but within a couple of minutes, it's back to 12.
And so far this term, Peps, just the one touch for Mitch Hardy after 18 in the first half. He hasn't really got near the Sharon so far in this second half of the game. He is inside the centre square as we go back there to restart play. Tucker with Kowal Munn. The handball just to space. Tucker ran onto it. Callum Brown picks it up off the halfback flank. A string of handballs ends up with Porter. They're inside 50 again. Stefanakis from the back. In fact, right in front of him was Cal Shadir. That's the sort of stuff I got to see last year when he was playing Year 12 football. And he'd single-handedly tear games to shreds. Look at the size of him.
Yep.
In the same team as Andreas Stefanakis last year at St. Bede's. And there were more young boys looking like Andreas Stefanakis than that size, and Kalsha just stands over the top of him. If he kicks this, I won't say it'll bring the house down, but it'll close the margin to within a goal. From the paint of 50, in comes Deer. It's starting to swing away from the goal face. He had the journey. The accuracy, though, not there on this occasion. But, Peps, for a young man to have 3 shots at goal, 2 of them in the last 5 minutes, will do his confidence the world of good.
Certainly will, and you just saw the athletic traits there as he took that mark. There's one for Hawks fans to keep an eye on in the future. Bradkey a long way from home for the Cats. Drives it long. Willis one-on-one. Read the ball well. Herbert. They're working it quickly by hand. Herbert goes again. Wide handball doesn't hit a target. Buse. Confronted by a couple of Hawks. And takes it over the line.
Now, Buse, is he another one that's only playing the second half? We didn't call his name throughout the first half of this game.
I haven't seen a lot of him. He's got the 6 touches. That would have been number 7. So, just a quiet day for Jed Buse. He turned 30 last year. Veteran of 166 AFL games. Father-son, of course. Free kick in the ruck going Tucker's way. Just dishes it off to Brown. And now long up the line they go to a 2-on-2. Gathered nicely. It's over the head of Stefanakis, and Stevens able to intercept.
So in the back pocket is Stevens. He'll keep it on the Reg Hickey stand side of the ground. Nice ball. And the Cats can stay composed. Hamish Lucas on the Toyota logo on the wing. Sweeps the handball. Wiltshire, he left it behind. Managed to have some time to gather it back into Lucas. Inside 50. Beautiful. They didn't panic. They didn't rush. And it's our man, Tobin Murray, who just, Gary Ablett-esque, points at the goals and say, don't even bother. Let me go back and kick my 4th. He's having a great day, is Tobin Murray. 2 absolute beauties from his 3. A casual, confident approach into goal. Puts it on its way. The umpire doesn't move. Tobin's enjoying his time in the VFL. He has 4. And the Cats push the margin back to 17 points. Now, the greatest bugbear in Australian rules football is happening right now, Peps. Tobin, who's lit this game up, just kicked his 4th, is coming to the interchange bench and sitting on it. No one in the history of the game of Australian rules football has ever kicked a goal from the interchange bench. He is pumping with adrenaline right now. The blood is rushing around his body. And he's got to sit there and watch the next play unfold.
Joe, I'd be happy to just sit here and listen to your thoughts on that for the rest
of the afternoon. No, it's unacceptable, Peps.
But no, look, you know what? You do have a point. I don't disagree.
I go back to a man that you and I both love in Alan Didak. Kicked 3 goals in 3 minutes one day because Mick Moldhouse left him on the ground.
Yes. Round 13 against West Coast in 2010.
There you go. I didn't cue you on that.
83-point win it was for the Pies that day. As the Cats forced to defend here, Humphreys did well. That's a little party trick of mine, Joe. Murdoch up the line. No mark for Edmonds. He's going to keep it alive, though. But not for long. No, he threw it. So Box Hill ball, rule.
I must admit, I like your trick.
And just back on Tobin Murray, Joe. 4 goals won from 6 disposals.
Handy.
Very handy from your 23rd man. Closey off hands. Caperon. Can't quite get to Neil with the kick. Sarong, who's been at a height disadvantage all day, has battled manfully against Neil. He'll get it back here. He's their leading ball winner, Box Hill, but that one not his best. Cut off by Bradkey. He's got Neil running all the way back towards the square. It's in his direction. 1-on-1 against the smaller opponent. Jai did really well, though, and forced a minor score.
He rushed through in the end. Sarong to bring the footy back in. Gives to Phillips. And in turn, another one to Ed Phillips. So from Ethan to Ed, the Phillips combine, and Jack Gunston takes it on the half-back flank. Long way from his attacking forward 50 arc. He'll go for Reeves. It was fisted away from him, but they've got the numbers out the back. Deer off to the speedster in Bennett, so they can go inside 50, and Tucker. He's got Stephanakis on, the big man. Can he get it to Andreas? He can. Those little quads were pumping from the centre square, and he rams into the back of the net. The Box Hill Hawks finally are able to get one the length of the ground. Started with the Phillips boys and finished in Andreas kicking the goal. We're back to 12 points as we tick in a time on of this third quarter.
That's 3 of the last 4 now for the Hawks. They were down by as much as 24 earlier in this term. It's now just a 2-goal game. Tobin Murray has really been the thorn in their side. Shannon Neal causing some problems as well. In fact, 7 of the Cats' 9 goals have come from those 2 players.
Yeah, whereas Box Hill are all individual goal kickers. 7 different players have hit the score sheet for the Hawks.
And your man Stephanakis, Joe, will be just feeling a little bit better about things after putting one through the sticks. He's had a couple of opportunities earlier today that he hasn't quite been able to take advantage of, but Tucker finally able to set him up for an easy one. Back in the middle, Reeves wins it down. Porter able to get the hands free. Messy stuff, though, from Tyler Brown. Callum might just run onto this. He was second to it. Closey brought down immediately by McDonald, but taken high. Things just starting to turn a little bit in favour of the Hawks. Closey wide. Has Foster, who's been quiet so far today. Capable of anything, though, this 198-centimetre Fenham. Oh. Inside 50, Bradkey with strength.
There was just enough room, wasn't there, in front of Caelan Bradkey to at least get a couple of steps and jump at that ball. And he takes a wonderful mark too. And it's almost, even though they're 12 points up, they need a goal.
Yeah, it's
to
an
just steady
kick.
them.
Important kick.
Yep.
Spent 1 year with Richmond's AFL list. Did Caelan Bradkey, was an SSP signing late in the piece before last season. Finds himself back in the Smithies VFL, playing for the Cats. Difficult kick. It's going to fall short across the face, and Rule thumps it through.
So they hold a 13-point advantage. Mitchell to bring the ball back in. Those bright pink fluorescent boots shining on display as he comes to the broadcast side. And in fact, he doesn't, because he stepped around Willis on the mark and takes to the outer side of the ground for Jed Rule. Now he's got McGuinness on. He shovels the handball over to Finn now. Mitchell there to lend support. McGuinness chooses to kick, and Bennett's on the slide. Back to McGuinness, who kept running. They've managed to get this inside 50 without the Cats touching it. Ball hits the deck. Jecker got the support he needs. Out the back door go Geelong. Mitchell in a one-on-one. In fact, the mark's been picked comfortably from Caperon, who will swing on the left foot and send it down the line. Falls out the back door. So they're off to the races here are the Cats. Cloesi can give to Buse. Can steady at 30 on the left. And Buse drills the goal. A little bit of ping-pong in the end. Up and down the Reg Hickey stand side of the ground, and Jed Buse finishes the job. And the Cats extend back to a 19-point ball game. 10-10-70 to 7-9-51.
Pretty good finish for someone who's been a defender most of his life. Jed Buse looked very comfortable on the non-preferred foot.
He just kicked the 16 goals at AFL level prior to that one going through at VFL level.
Yeah, he's, of course, been a sturdy one-on-one defender the vast majority of his AFL career. Mentioned earlier, turned 30 last year. And has 166 AFL games to his name. As we get set to restart. Entertaining game, this one. The Cats have kicked 4 goals to 3 in this third term. Reeves. Phillips went to ground. Plenty of numbers around it. Socket forward for the Cats. Can they get another one? Here's a chance for Nevitt. Looking for the lead. Can't quite find Wiltshire. Phillips, Sarong able to mop up. McGuinness has 3 Cats closing in on him. That was Mitchell, in fact. Phillips gets it again and just hammers it out of the area, but it might be coming straight back. Well, oh, it's juggled over, luckily for the Hawks, by Herbert. So they're bailed out there. And it's going to be thrown in. Box Hill need to withstand this pressure from the Cats. Bennett's slick hands to Brown. Over the top, back to Bennett's. Up and under kick. Phillips, brave in the air, takes a strong mark. He's got one-on-ones forward if he goes quickly. That's exactly what he does. Vander Hoovel left his man, did well. Didn't kill the contest, though, dear. Can't keep it alive. O'Sullivan fumble. Play allowed to go on. Bodies flying in from all directions. And now that we get the whistle.
It's a high one.
And it's going to be a Box Hill shot at goal. Not sure whose it is just yet. It looks like Sam Butler is going to be the man to take it.
Yeah, and he did well to get his head over the ball. Just had that arm go over the shoulder, but he was also pushed in the back by Mitch Nevitt. So maybe each of 2 there for Sammy.
3 goals, 2 last week. From 21 disposals. 1 earlier today. Runs around onto the right, and it just gets there. Box Hill with the quick response. Margin back to 13 late in this third term.
So now Sam Butler becomes the first multiple goal scorer for the Box Hill Hawks. An all-important goal too, because 19 points is still striking distance in the modern game, but to be within a couple of kicks, nearing three-quarter time, if they are to get another one before we do have the three-quarter time break, then they're obviously feeling like the ascendancy and momentum is on their side. We've had 4 goals 3 to 4 goals 3 in this term.
Been a good one.
It certainly has, and it's felt like the Box Hill Hawks are on top though. but Geelong have been able to, every time they get within an arm's length, just pull away from them again. Jai Sarong has moved up to 20 disposals. Mitch Hardy, still just the one disposal in this term. Lawson Humphreys in third spot with 17 touches to his name. As we go back into the centre square, Tucker over the top. Here is Hardy, so he'll get another disposal there as it wobbles to half forward. Ryan was strong in bringing down Murray, and he won the footy and got it to Tyler Brown, who shows a few people some clean pair of heels, dancing on a dollar, trimming the light, fantastic, and giving it to Bennett, who goes inside 50. Can O'Sullivan keep it in? He can. He's running the length of the boundary line as he shoots into goal to the top of the square. It's off hands from Butler, who couldn't take the mark, and Humphreys can clear for the Cats to vacant land. How will it bounce? Mitchell is there to bring it in for Box Hill, and he checks the kick ever so slightly. And right on the paint of 50, on the outer side of the ground, the Box Hill Hawks will look for their next foray forward. Just in short, Gunston, well, we know he's got the leg on him, Peps.
Absolutely.
And I dare say with all the experience and nous that he has, he doesn't even bother passing this. He just goes back and does what he's paid the big dollars to do over a long time in the AFL.
Yep, he's done it for a long time and in some of the biggest situations in which you can do it.
So here's Gunston. We'll need to kick it all at 50. It's going right to the line. Big pack of players on the goal line. It's off hands and through for a minus score. So just beyond his range in the end. But we're an even 2 goals as we tick into the 31st minute of this third quarter.
The goal from either side could be massive heading into three-quarter time. The Cats are going to play it slow. Humphreys long up the line. Willis the flyer. Sarong 20 disposals. Has played well for the Hawks. Looks a natural down back. Has played a number of different roles in his time on the list. As Phillips drops another one, but it won't hurt him as the siren sounds for three-quarter time and gets underway.
It's Qual Munn winning it over the top of Reeves. Tyler Brown had the pocket pick, but he has a second go as Qual Munn does exactly the same. And the way we started the third term is the exact same way we started the fourth. So, secondary stoppage in the centre square. Off the ground, it ends up with Bennett, who's shown some of his speed today. Can he get the Box Hill Hawks over the line? Inside 50 is Ed Phillips from the Tobin Murray pocket to the top of the square. It's fisted away. In fact, it's not fisted away. It's booted away. And in the end, it's a free kick that has been rewarded to Jed Buse in his defensive goal square. Well, I suppose, Peps, as a defender, you'll do anything to stop the ball from going through.
Kicked a lovely goal with that left boot in the third term. Now he's using it for other purposes. Herbert met solidly by Porter. Good contest. Porter gets it back. Never took him to ground. Not sure he had it. Umpire lets it go on. Hardy was quiet in the third term. Ham running through the middle. Childcraft. Hardy still going. Takes possession, but Gunston drags him down immediately. Lawson Humphreys up to 19 disposals for the Cats. Mentioned earlier, was taken very late in the draft, picked 63 last year out of the West Coast Academy. As we've got a bouncing ball up on the wing. O'Sullivan did well to hang on to the footy. Then taken over by Hall, but he's taken high. And you can hear there's a pretty good contingent of Box Hill fans here today, which is great to see. Of course, the AFL side's not playing until Easter Monday. And the Geelong VFL fans always show up, as do the Box Hill fans. Vander Hoovel to an outnumber. McDonald goes to also an outnumber. Buse has it thumped away, though, by McGuinness.
Oh, brilliant.
And that may have been a goal-saving smother from Caperon because they had a couple running back towards goal, the Hawks.
Yeah, captain-style smother. And it was Kelshire running into goal. Finn McGuinness just couldn't get it over the top. But they're inside attacking 50. 2.5 minutes in to the final term. Thrown back in. Reeves palms it down. McGuinness left it behind. The ruckman got it back and gave it to Tyler Brown from a standing start. It's starting to go across the face of goal. In fact, it stayed in the end and then quite comfortably navigated over the line by Oscar Murdoch alongside Cal Shadir. So right next to the behind post is a good result for the Box Hill Hawks. They'll get another crack at it. Ned Reeves may end up going up unopposed. Well, he'll go up against an undersized Mitch Nevitt. So just pushes him aside, grabs it out of the ruck, shot the handball out. The snap into goal from Finn McGuinness is really good. A great finish around goal. And the Hawks were awake to the fact that the Cats were undersized in the ruck. Smart play, and they cut the margin to just 6 points. 3.5 minutes in to the final term. 10-10-70 to 9-10-64.
Now, this is the closest they've been, Box Hill, since early in quarter number 2. We've mentioned it a few times. The Cats have just been able to keep that buffer at 2.5 goals for most of the day. And finally, McGuinness able to bring them to within a kick at a crucial moment. He's up to 20 touches. McGuinness equal most on the ground for the Hawks. Alongside Jai Sarong, Mitch Hardy, 21 for the Cats. 18 of those coming in the first half. It's been a little bit quiet since the break. Back in the middle. Reeves down to Porter. He's gang tackled immediately. He's pushed in the back. And he wastes no time, does Porter. Drives it inside 50. A few numbers. Bennett's able to take the juggling mark.
It'll be busy for them across the half-forward flank as Josh Bennett, particularly in this second half. His skills coming to the fore. He has kicked a goal already as well today, so if he goes back and slots this, you feel like since half-time, Peps, it's certainly been played on the terms of the Box Hill Hawks. And right now, it's really stack of questions on the Cats and Mark Corrigan as to what he can do to stop this little avalanche.
He'll kick it from right on 50. Kicked a fantastic roving goal earlier in the day. The set shot has hung it out to the near side.
Is it too early to go with handy point?
Yeah, just a little.
So 5 points the margin. 5 minutes gone. Humphreys brings the footy back in to his captain in Caperon, right where the 50 meets the boundary on the outer side of GMHBA Stadium. Held up on the mark, called to play on now. Went over the head of Hardy. The mark's been taken by Gunston. Takes a little bit of grass and then gave it plenty of sky as he kicks it inside 50. It was one for the high flyers. The ball hits the deck. Van der Heuvel down just behind this contest as Nevitt's wrapped up and the umpire crosses the arms. They've just been impacted as part of that big contest going for the ball. So Qualmon and Ned Reeves. Out the back is O'Sullivan. Callum Brown lurking. Trying to bust through. Going nowhere are the Box Hill Hawks. So we'll have another stoppage out of sight of the ground. We've gone 6 minutes in the final term and Geelong are holding a 5-point lead.
Only goal of the term so far to Box Hill. Nevitt's pushed in the back. And that'll relieve some pressure on the Cats. Nevitt made a 90-second cameo last week in Adelaide for the AFL side. Then had 16 touches for the VFL team on Saturday afternoon. Works it up the line. Herbert, centering ball. Too much work to do there for Murray against a couple of Hawks, and they're coming straight through the corridor. Bennett's, the seas parted for him. Has Gunston all on his own, 55 out. O'Sullivan in the pocket. Well done, Jecker, but the ball's still alive. Couldn't kill the contest, and O'Sullivan will make him pay full price. He's got 2 since coming on in the second half.
Having an impact, isn't he?
Yep, certainly is.
A lot like Bennett's, being zippy around the forward line, paying big dividends. Having that speed there that wasn't present in the first half, and in the end it was easy pickings for the Cats during the first half, but since they've been troubled by both of those boys, and You can see how high up the ground Bennett's pushes to get the Sherrin, which allows O'Sullivan to play the deeper one. Really good football between the two of those young men. 10-11-71. The Box Hill Hawks take the lead. 10-10-70. We've gone 8 minutes in this final term. Back into the centre square. Reeves and Shannon Neal will do the ruck work. Lucas is standing Tyler Brown, who's been the extractor, as he is again here. Off the side of the boot, but it's going to work out okay because the Box Hill Hawks have got the numbers in McGuinness, who was decked after he kicked it, but in the end he picked out Stefanakis anyway. And Andreas might have the confidence to go back and have the shot. We've seen a few shots from this pocket, and the only one who's been able to navigate it to full effect is Tobin Murray. The other 23rd man in the Geelong side. This is the 23rd man for Box Hill. He's kicked one already. Put his name in lights in a practice game a couple of weeks ago, did Stefanakis. To the top of the square, it's going across the face of goal and through for a minor score. They double their margin from 1 point to 2 with that behind. 10-12-72 to 10-10-70.
Humphreys goes quickly for Stevens. Back to Humphreys. He's been impressive today. Short for Buse. Box Hill defending the ground well, forcing Buse to go back. Now Capper on. You can hear the fans trying to lift this Geelong side. As Caperon kicks to a contest. That'll be a free kick to Mitchell.
Handy crowd in too, by the way, Peps. I went down at half time. A nice contingency of fans in at GMHBA.
Certainly is. Tovey, long ball. Gunston, off hands. Still in danger here, the Cats. Stevens forced to lay the tackle. Those Box Hill Smalls starting to look very dangerous once again.
They certainly are. Even Stefanakis is now coming into the fore. And he's lurking around this contest. Tucker won it down. McGuinness, who's already kicked a goal in this quarter. He gave it off to Gunston. Can all the experience count for something here? It's going across the face of goal, and it's ended up being flicked through in the end by Caperon. Smart to get it through for a behind. Geelong retained possession rather than it ending up going out of bounds. 3 points is the margin in favour of the Box Hill Hawks. The kick's a beauty. Picked out on the defensive 50 there, George Stevens, although his handball may have turned his teammate into trouble. They'll get it back. And Foster can take the relieving mark on half back. He wants to go into the corridor. It's a beautiful kick. Picked out Hamish Lucas, who will go towards Nevitt. No, he chooses to give to Edmonds, who's got the ground in front of him. Now he'll go towards Nevitt. It'll sit for him just inside the field of play, and he taps it over the line. Well, they go the length of the ground, Peps. It wasn't all that clean, unlike the first half, where that usually ended up in a goal.
It's been a feature of their game today, the Cats. That transition from defensive 50 into attack. Patient build-up at first. Then once they got the ball into the corridor, it was all systems go. Sarong flicks it wide. And the Hawks clear the immediate danger. Stefanakis did well not to infringe on the tackle. Ball spills free. Stevens just puts it on the boot. Chaos ball might work here for Bradkey. Has a couple of Hawks to contend with and can't keep it in. The Cats trail now by 3 points. They've led most of the day. Led by as much as 25 points at one stage in the third term. They now find themselves trailing. Tucker. Hands not quite quick enough. Box Hill forced to defend another stoppage. Every player in the Cats attacking half of the ground. Taken out of the ruck by Foster. Not quite his moment. Closey, happy to take it over. Humphreys, 22 disposals. Leads all players on the ground. McGuinness and Sarong each have 21 for the Hawks. Mitch Hardy also on 21. As we toss it in. Both rucks missed it. Opportunity for Buse. Up and under. Mark won't be paid. Ends up with McGuinness. Strength to get out of the initial tackle. Now Gunston a long way from goal. Caught in danger. Retreats. Sarong under real pressure from Wiltshire. The Cats force the turnover. Wiltshire. Closey. Behind. Excellent stuff from the Cats.
They've just lifted the pressure enough to make the Box Hill Hawks question every move. Mitchell into the back pocket for Ethan Phillips. Thought about giving it back, then sent it on to Bennett. The speedster's a long way from home. Mitchell kept running. He got it back. He was met head on as he gave it to O'Sullivan. They cut back inboard. The mark's been taken by Maxie Hall. He can go into the centre square for McDonald, who's got some space in front of him. Through the corridor to half forward. It's a beautiful kick. McGuinness takes the mark. Who's the next link in the chain? The captain is Porter to the top of the square. Big pack of players down there. It's a 2-on-1 in favour of the Hawks. Butler's in the front. His kick was smothered. He goes again. Sam Butler puts it on a platter and into the back of the old onion bag, soccer style. Extends the margin to 8 points. And the Box Hill Hawks answering the Geelong pressure. Sam Butler didn't even bother picking it up. He just whacked it off his boot like he did in the second quarter, Peps, and he's done it again.
Yep, so if you're playing at home, that's 3 goals for Butler, 2 of them off the ground. He is a clever small forward, much like older brother Dan, of course. Has made a career out of doing things just like that.
Maybe he wants to spot the Socceroos lineup. We won earlier in the week, didn't we?
Yeah, we certainly did. Big one over Lebanon. 8 points now, the Box Hill lead. Their biggest lead of the game. And what a time to do it in the final term. 3 goals, 3 to just 1 behind for the Cats in 15 minutes of play. Now it's over to Geelong. They got overrun in the last quarter last week. Could history be repeating itself?
7 goals to 4 since half-time, Peps.
Crucial centre bounce. Hardy trying to will it forward for the Cats. It gets there. Closey back to Hardy. Had a little fumble. Porter wearing him like a glove and got into his back. So the experienced mid-season recruit for the Cats from a year ago sends it high and long to the hot spot. Foster hands to it. Roving is Willis. In fact, it was Wiltshire, and the Cats get the goal they so desperately needed.
Good spot to be, wasn't it? All the Box Hill Hawks had to do was fist it through and kill it and get the possession back. But a brilliant goal from Wiltshire. He was the man, Peps, that you talked about earlier on the game that no one even knew about him.
That's right.
Well, he's put his name on the map there.
His first goal as a Cat.
And 2 points is now the margin. And we haven't seen a hell of a lot of Mitch Hardy in the second half. But as soon as he gets the ball, something happens. Something's created. And he's back into the centre square here. We've got the close one on VFL.com.au and the VFL Live app. Geelong and the Box Hill Hawks. Back into the centre square. 2 points the margin. Kuol Munn will get over the top of Reeves. The bounce did favour him. There's a high tackle in the centre square. Kuol Munn wants to go. The umpire says, no, come back. So it's going to be a free kick to Kate Shellcraft. He's an excitement machine. There's a big man from Geelong. Lucas presents on half forward. He'll thump it inside 50. Into the pocket for Wiltshire, who went back with a fly, didn't take the mark, and again an uncharacteristic fumble from Ethan Phillips. It goes over the line. There's still plenty of time left, it must be said. 17 minutes gone, though, in the final term, and the Box Hill Hawks hold a 2-point lead.
It's been a game of momentum swings, and it feels like it's swinging in favour of the Cats at this moment. At the back, Foster taps it down. No clean ball able to be won. Just into space now for Phillips. Burns off one tackler, has nowhere to go, so he just kicks it to grass. Stefanakis will get the legs
Look
pumping.
at the quads! Look at the
Look
quads!
him go! He's got to contend with Stevens, who's not noted for his speed, it must be said. And he takes it over with no repercussions.
Now, in the end, that's a great result for Box Hill because Ed Phillips, if that had just rolled an extra 3 centimetres, insufficient intent to keep it in. But because George Stevens grabbed it, it went out of bounds.
Look at him, he's cramping Joe Stefanakis after that effort. Had to stretch out the calves.
The little quads, they were pumping.
He loves it as we throw it back in. Reeves and Qualman call it a draw. Phillips, clever tap. Chance. Here's Phillips again. Good tackle, Buse.
Isn't that a noticeable change in the way that footballers are tackling? Jed Buse, give it 4 or 5 years ago, that's throwing Ed Phillips into the ground. He brought him to ground gently enough to not give away a free kick, and now we've got another stoppage. Defensive 50 for the Cats. McGuinness tried to bust through. He managed to get a foot to it in the direction of O'Sullivan. He had the pocket picked, and the Cats can clear, but it may be coming back. It's a 2-on-1, and Mitchell takes the chest mark. Almost every player's in front of him. He decides to switch across the ground to Jed Rule, who's got Ryan on, and further afield to him. It's with the Box Hill Hawks, Maxie Hall. Inside 50 for McGuinness, who marks
been
on front.
Huge in this second half.
He plays on, wheels around on the right. McGuinness goes into goal, and it's missing to the near side. He did want to waste absolutely no time there, did Finn, and through for a minor score. 11-14-80, 11-11, 77. We're about to tick into time on. They've kicked 3 goals in this final quarter, Peps. The Cats have just kicked the 1.
24 touches, 1 goal, 1 for McGuinness. As Stevens looks to bring it back into play. They trail it by 3, the Cats. Herbert had it punched away from him. Qualman went to ground. Needs to get rid of it. He dragged it in. Just gets rid of it in the nick of time.
Now, just off the ball, sorry, Peps. Reeves is down at the moment. He may have copped one either in the head.
Oh, the free kick's going the Cats' way. But Reeves is still down. Chase down, tackle, terrific. Hand brought to ground, and the Hawks go forward again. O'Sullivan camped underneath it. Vander Hoovel had the height. Here's Deere. Well tackled by Murdoch, and Reeves has just gotten back to his feet, Joe.
He certainly has. There's a bit to unpack in that. How about the tackle from Butler, the desperation? He kicked the goal that put him in front. Now he's doing the tough stuff. Fantastic to watch. So Tucker pushed aside by Qualman. It may come back. They'll get another crack from Hall. He'll thump it inside 50. Stefanakis is there trying to make an attempt to cause a one-on-one, and Stevens, in the end, too tall for him. Takes the mark. He'll keep it to the outer side of the ground. Herbert's got some space to move and groove. He just chooses to have a bounce and run away from McGuinness. Sets it up for Bradkey. Also in a one-on-one with Benny DeBolfo. Off hands and over the line it goes. It's going to be thrown back in. Half-forward flank for the Cats. Look for Hardy in the number 41 to get dangerous. Cade Shellcraft makes his way over. Reeves back to his feet will do the ruck work. Alongside Qualman from the back. He fists it to the front, and Callum Brown shoves it to Hall. He's come into his own in the last few minutes as Hall. And a beautiful mark taken on the outer side of the ground. He's having some sort of few minutes, is Sammy Butler. Terrific. Stops and props. He'll go back. And Callum Brown can surge this one forward from halfback.
Into the corridor. Finds Porter. Content to play it slow. Brown wants it wide again, but he's going to go further afield. Rule decided not to jump in the end. Off hands. Clever spin, and the Cats able to clear the danger. Crucial one-on-one here. Willis needs to impact. Does that well. Big tackle laid, though. And we get a stalemate. Willis did really well there just to prevent the easy intercept mark and force this stoppage in the middle of the ground. Reeves is back to his feet, which is good to see. Box Hill clearance. Phillips hangs a kick out wide for Gunston, who's got a paddock. Needs an option to present at him. No one does. So he goes long. Tucker gets it to ground. O'Sullivan couldn't quite flash through. Stevens and Vander Heuvel had a miscommunication. And lucky for them, the result is out of bounds.
23 minutes have elapsed in this final quarter. The Box Hill Hawks trailed by as much as 25 points. In the third term, they now hold a 3-point lead. Reeves won it down. Porter's trying to bust through the Hardy tackle. He broke it, managed to get boot to ball and send it inside 50, Stefanakis direction. No. Andreas has plucked it out of the sky! The little man with a big heart takes a great mark. And he's got the chance to put the Hawks out to 9 points. A little bit of breathing space late in the contest. He's naturally undersized in almost every contest he goes in, but he never gives up the fight, this young man. He would have learnt that from his coach at Old Haileybury, Daniel Ward. A tough nut in his own right playing for the Demons. Here's Andreas Stefanakis, who's already kicked a goal. The 23rd man puts it on its way. Oh, yes! As I said, the little man with a big heart comes to the fore. Blows up the biceps, pumps out the chest. Says, how good am I? And comes from the ground with a bit of me time. 12-14-86 to 11-11-77. It's a 9-point ball game for the Box Hill Hawks.
Well, it was a great finish, but how about the mark against Oscar Murdoch? A 16-centimetre height difference between those two, and Stefanakis able to come down with it over the much taller opponent. And then the finish, just all class.
Stands tall.
He certainly does. And 24 and a half minutes in, 9 points. Things would have to go almost perfectly for the Cats from this point on. They led most of the day by as much as 25 points if you just joined us. But the second half has been pretty much all Box Hill, 8-5 since the main break. And more pertinently, 4-1 in this final term. It'll be Reeves and Qualman. Reeves wins the tap. Hardy overran it. Qualman's follow-up good. Tyler Brown just paddling it forward. Now takes possession. Tries to burn off O'Sullivan. Couldn't do so. Umpire says play on. O'Sullivan then turns it over. Callum Brown, top of the square. Deer! And the young man could put this game away for the Hawks.
Super from the Hawks midfield. Callum Brown just kept willing himself to the contest, picking up the ball, little handballs, beautiful kick. And Cal Shadir, we talked about the romance of the fact the father-son is playing this particular weekend. Of course, the big Dare to Hope game on Monday between Hawthorn and Geelong. And this young man, the son of the late, great Paul Deer, has the chance to ice the game right here, right now, Peps.
1-2 for the day. Directly in front, only 20 out. A big moment, and the young man steps up and delivers. That'll ice it for Box Hill. And the Box Hill chant at GMHBA Stadium of all places. Not sure the Geelong people will take too kindly to that, Joe.
No, there's a nice little crowd in beneath us who are willing every kick, mark and handball to go forward. They've enjoyed what they've seen, particularly after half-time, and they will take plenty away from seeing young Cal Shadir kick a couple of goals, from seeing Sam Butler kick 3. Jack O'Sullivan's second half has been awesome with a couple, and then my man Andreas Stefanakis. They've worked their way into the game. It's a lot different to how they beat Casey last week for the Box Hill Hawks, and for the Cats, it's a bit more of the same, isn't it? A strong first half and, well, almost some form of fade-out in the second as Kawal Munn keeps fighting himself for the Cats in the centre square. Hall had a really good second half. A brilliant handball to McDonald, and they go inside 50 again. Can they get another one to completely blow this one to smithereens? There's a lot lurking. Deer's down there. Butler put his head over the football. It came out to Deer. He got a boot to it. Can McGuinness keep this in right next to the behind post? He can't. And we'll have this one thrown in. 13-14-92 to 11-11-77. We are almost out of time, Peps. We've gone 27 and a half minutes.
And just from a broader perspective, if you're a Hawthorn fan and you're watching us on afl.com.au and the AFL Live official app, it's been a rough year or two on the field for Hawthorn, but you just see some of these young players that have been drafted in the last couple of years, and there are some real signs of hope for the future. Maybe not all of them will make it. That's the nature of AFL footy, but there is some talent on this list. Someone like a Korsha Deer, who's only going to get better as he grows into his frame. McGuinness, another father-son, bounces that one through for a behind. But if you're a Hawks fan, you have to be happy with what you're seeing at both AFL and VFL level, Joe.
You most certainly are, as they take this to centre-half back. The Cats, Nevitt, every kick. Mark Hamble from here's got to be absolutely perfect. Mitchell wants to have a say on it. Unfortunately, he's hurt himself as part of that contest. The Cats smash into one another, and the Hawks win back the football inside the centre square. They go out wide to Gunston, who takes the mark on the half-forward flank. He can swing around, thump it inside 50. Who's there? All on his lonesome. Easy pickings for the big man in Sam Butler, who is now staring down the barrel of 4 goals if he kicks truly from here. 2 of them have been the soccer style. This one, much more regulation, Australian rules football. From Sam Butler. McDonald screaming for it in the Tobin Murray pocket. I reckon Sam Butler's saying, just settle down, Bailey. Just settle down. So Butler, to make it 22 points. Who would have thought that when they trailed by 25 in the third term? Approaches goal. No mistake at all. The umpire barely moved. He just lifted the lid and watched it sail over his hat. 14-15-99 to 11-11-77. 4 goals to Sam Butler, leads all comers for the Box Hill Hawks now. He's had a really good display across the half-forward line.
Yep, 21 touches, 3 goals, 2 last week. 18 with 4 goals, 1 today. So Sam Butler very much putting his name in the selection frame from a Hawthorn perspective. Finn McGuinness as well, after being dropped from the AFL side. 27 disposals today. Has kicked a goal as well. Seamus Mitchell has worked his way up to 22, and Jai Sarong as well, 22.
Now, we know Hawthorn's still got to play this weekend, of course, but their next game is against Collingwood. Finn McGuinness, that name you mentioned. They're replaying their game against the Pies next week. Does he come in, and does he stand on the number 35?
It's entirely possible, Joe. It's that's gather round as well, so a big occasion as Bennett's. They're not done, the Hawks. Deer one-on-one, couldn't take the mark. Left it for O'Sullivan. Found space where there was none. It's high. It's there. Is it? Yes. And O'Sullivan has 3 all in the second half.
It's a 7-goal final term, Peps. And the chant rises as one again beneath us.
They played in a prelim last year, Box Hill. Don't forget that. Losing by just 15 points to the eventual premiers, Gold Coast. And, well, with a powerful performance last week and this second half, particularly last quarter, they're going to be right there again, Box Hill. They always are one of the very best Smithies VFL programs going round, and they have been, for the best part of 20, 30 years now.
Yeah, no question about that. And it's very similar, isn't it, to what happened last week for the Cats. They conceded 7 goals to Werribee, and they've done so again now to Box Hill. In final quarters, we go back into the centre square. Reeves, Kowalman over the top. Brown was smashed into by Porter. Buse just paddled it along the ground. Lucas had a crack. Here's Cloesi. Shoveled the handball out to Edmonds. Got to get on that left foot, go inside 50. He does, but it's just to vacant land. Although it's an uncomfortable bounce for Gunston. Out the back is Murray. He's trying to win the Sherrin, but he can't. Now the umpire blows the whistle and asks for it back.
But to go back to your point on McGuinness, Joe, it's tough midfield to crack into. They've got a lot of young players who they want to get time running through there. But if they do want to shut down young Nick Dacos, McGuinness has certainly shown he has the capacity to do it. As Murray's wrapped up. He's had a fantastic game today for the Cats. 4 goals. Neil with 3.
From 7 disposals, Tobin.
Yep, handy day indeed. Brody Ryan taking the ground after he handballed it. O'Sullivan left it for Bennett's classy pickup. Bennett sweeps it to Hall.
Deer on.
And he's going to get on the end of this ball. Kaulsha Deer is going to run to the goal line and kick his 3rd. And that's a 9-goal quarter for Box Hill. They lead it now by 34 points. It's been a 10-goal turnaround, Joe.
Ridiculous, isn't it? We were not thinking this at all. We did not have this in the script, reckon, Peps, at three-quarter time. We were just talking about how we thought this one was going to finish up.
9 goals, 5 to just 1-1.
Extraordinary finish to this game. Kaulsha Deer, 3 goals. Jack O'Sullivan, 3 goals. Sam Butler, 4 goals. Andreas Stefanakis, 2. Earlier on, when they were at 7 goals for the game, they were all individual goal kickers. And since then, they have just started to get to work in winning back the ball, in using the ascendancy and momentum to full effect. This last term, nearly at 34 minutes. They were trailing by 25 points midway through the 3rd term. And there was just a fingertip on a shot at goal that would have made it 5 goals. And since then, it's been one-way traffic the way of the brown and gold. So we're back into the centre square. We're having a secondary stoppage. And we are, quite literally, just playing out the time that's left on the clock. The Box Hill Hawks are going to record their 2nd win of the season. The Cats have got some questions that they need to answer. Shellcraft goes inside 50, but there's the siren to end the game with the Box Hill Hawks reigning supreme and coming from behind, doing it in style. 16-15, 111 to 11-11, 77. A 34-point win after trailing by 12 points at three-quarter time. Sammy Butler led the way with 4 goals, and as we mentioned, Kaulsha Deer, Jack O'Sullivan with 3 goals apiece. Tobin Murray kicked 4 for the Cats, and Shannon Neal kicked 3. Peps, what about from a disposal point of view before we wrap up this game?